It took courage to write this book, and it will take courage to read it. Because its theories and proofs do not fit into the mosaic of traditional archaeology, constructed so laboriously and firmly cemented down, scholars will call it nonsense and put foot on the index of those books which are better left unmentioned. Laymen will withdraw into the snail shell of their familiar world when faced with the probability that finding out about our past will be even more mysterious and adventurous than finding out about the future. Nevertheless, one thing is certain. There is something inconsistent about our past, that past which lies thousands and millions of years behind us. The past teemed with unknown gods who visited the primeval earth in manned spaceships. Incredible technical achievements existed in the past. There is a mass of know-how, which we have only partially rediscovered today. There is something inconsistent about our archaeology. Because we find electric batteries many thousands of years old. Because we find strange beings in perfect spacesuits with platinum fasteners. Because we find numbers with 15 digits, something not registered by any computer. But how did these early men acquire the ability to create them? There is something inconsistent about our religion. A feature common to every religion is that it promises help and salvation to mankind. The primitive gods gave such promises, too. Why didn't they keep them? Why did they use ultramodern weapons on primitive peoples? And why did they plan to destroy them? Let us get used to the idea that the world of ideas which has grown up over the millennia is going to collapse. A few years of accurate research has already brought down the mental edifice in which we had made ourselves at home. Knowledge that was hidden in the libraries of secret societies is being rediscovered. The age of space travel is no longer an age of secrets. We have now landed on the moon. Space travel, which aspires to suns and stars, also plumbs the abysses of our past for us. Gods and priests, kings, and heroes, emerge from the dark chasms. We must challenge them to deliver up their secrets, for we have the means to find out all about our past, without leaving any gaps, if we really want to. Modern laboratories must take over the work of archaeological research. Archaeologists must visit the devastated sites of the past with ultra-sensitive measuring apparatus. Priests who seek the truth must again begin to doubt everything that is established. The gods of the dim past have left countless traces which we can read and decipher today for the first time, because the problem of space travel, so topical today, was not a problem, but a reality, to the men of thousands of years ago. I claim that our forefathers received visits from the universe in the remote past, even though I do not yet know who these extraterrestrial intelligences were or from which planet they came. I nevertheless proclaim that these strangers annihilated part of mankind existing at the time and produced a new, perhaps the first, Homo sapiens. This assertion is revolutionary. It shatters the base on which a mental edifice that seemed to be so perfect was constructed. It is my aim to try to provide proof of this assertion. My book would not have been written without the encouragement and collaboration of many people. I should like to thank my wife, who has seen little of me at home during the last few years, for her understanding. I should like to thank my friend Hans Neuner, my traveling companion for many thousands of miles, for his unfailing and valuable help. I should like to thank Dr. Stellan and Louis Emmerich for their continuous support. I should like to thank all the NASA personnel at Houston, Cape Kennedy, and Huntsville who showed me around their magnificent scientific and technical research centers. I should like to thank Wernher von Braun, Willy Ley, and Bert Slattery. I should like to thank all the countless men and women around the globe whose practical help, encouragement, and conversation made this book possible. Eric von Däniken. 1. Are there intelligent beings in the cosmos? Is it conceivable that we world citizens of the 20th century are not the only living beings of our kind in the cosmos? Because no homunculus from another planet is on display in a museum for us to visit, the answer, our Earth is the only planet with human beings, still seems to be legitimate and convincing. But the forest of question marks grows and grows as soon as we make a careful study of the facts resulting from the latest discoveries and research work. On a clear night the naked eye can see about 4,500 stars, so the astronomers say. The telescope of even a small observatory makes nearly 2 million stars visible, and a modern reflecting telescope brings the light from thousands of millions more to the viewer. Specks of light in the Milky Way. But in the colossal dimensions of the cosmos, our stellar system is only a tiny part of an incomparably larger stellar system of a cluster of Milky Ways, one might say, containing some 20 galaxies within a radius of 1,500,000 light-years. 1 light-year equals the distance traveled by light in a year, i.e., 186,000 x 60 x 60 x 24 x 365 miles. And even this vast number of stars is small in comparison with the many thousands of spiral nebulae disclosed by the electronic telescope. Disclosed to the present day, I should emphasize, for research of this kind is only just beginning. Astronomer Harlow Shapley estimates that there are some 10-20 stars within the range of our telescopes. When Shapley associates a planetary system with only 1 in 1,000 stars, we may assume that it is a very cautious estimate. If we continue to speculate on the basis of this estimate and suspect the necessary conditions for life on only 1 star in 1,000, this calculation still gives a figure of 1014. Shapley asks, how many stars in this truly astronomical figure have an atmosphere suitable for life? 1 in 1,000? That would still leave the incredible figure of 1011 stars with the prerequisites for life. Even if we assume that only every 1,000th planet out of this figure has produced life, there are still 100 million planets on which we can speculate that life exists. This calculation is based on telescopes using the techniques available today, but we must not forget that these are constantly being improved. If we follow the hypothesis of biochemist Dr. Stanley Miller, life, and the conditions essential for life may have developed more quickly on some of these planets than on Earth. If we accept this daring assumption, civilizations more advanced than our own could have developed on 100,000 planets. The late Willy Ley, well-known scientific writer, and friend of Wernher von Braun, told me in New York, the estimated number of stars in our Milky Way alone amounts to 30 billion. The assumption that our Milky Way contains at least 16 billion planetary systems is considered admissible by present-day astronomers. If we now try to reduce the figures in question as much as possible and assume that the distances between planetary systems are so regulated that only in one case in 100 does a planet orbit in the ecosphere of its own sun, that still leaves 180 million planets capable of supporting life. If we further assume that only one planet in 100 that might support life actually does so, we should still have the figure of 1.8 million planets with life. Let us further suppose that out of every 100 planets with life there is one on which creatures with the same level of intelligence as Homo sapiens live. Then even this last supposition gives our Milky Way the vast number of 18,000 inhabited planets. Since the latest counts give 100 billion fixed stars in our Milky Way, probability indicates an incomparably higher figure than Dr. Ley puts forward in his cautious calculation. Without quoting fantastic figures or taking unknown galaxies into account, we may surmise that there are 18,000 planets comparatively close to the Earth with conditions essential to life similar to those of our own planet. Yet we can go even further and speculate that if only 1% of these 18,000 planets were actually inhabited, there would still be 180 left. There is no doubt about the existence of planets similar to the Earth with a similar mixture of atmospheric gases, similar gravity, similar flora, and possibly even similar fauna. But is it even essential for the planets that support to have conditions similar to the Earth's? The idea that life can flourish only under terrestrial conditions has been made obsolete by research. It is a mistake to believe that life cannot exist without water and oxygen. Even on our own Earth there are forms of life that need no oxygen. They are called anaerobic bacteria. A given amount of oxygen acts like poison on them. Why should there not be higher forms of life that do not need oxygen? Under the pressure of the new knowledge that is being acquired every day, we shall have to bring our mental world picture up to date. Scientific investigation, concentrated on our Earth until very recently, has praised this world of ours as the ideal planet. It is not too hot and not too cold, it has plenty of water, there are unlimited quantities of oxygen, organic